two first. Oh, hey, we're on. Let's do this. I'm just watching the Javi Baez play again. Just sorry, I'm easily distracted today. A sadly clean-shaven Ironhead kicking off the show in much the style you would expect somebody to just watch their team get bounced again in the opening round of the Stanley Cup playoffs and watched their team make that. That has to be the first time in Major League Baseball history that particular play has occurred. If you don't know what we're talking about, the Pirates, I don't even know what inning. Was it the third inning? I'm not even sure what inning it was, but Javi Baez it hits a routine grounder to
third base.
Was it third or short? Okay,
they threw the third to first.
And, they throw to first, and Baez stops about 3 feet shy of the first baseman and starts running back toward home. And the Pirates, of course, lollygag around. And it's like jogging down toward home. Meanwhile, the runner comes around by the time the Pirates realize, oh, hey, we're playing baseball, not just a game of catch here or a game of pickle. The runner is safe at home. And then, of course, nobody thinks, hey, maybe it'd be a good idea to cover first since – and while we're at it, let's throw the ball away and let Baez get to second. I mean, they say, right, it's one of the great things about going to the ballpark. You never know when you might see something you've never seen before. The dear folks who have the displeasure of being at PNC Park today truly witnessed something that I don't think – I'm not sure – I mean, I've not seen that play at any level ever. T-ball on up. No. And I've watched over the years, I've watched a good amount of baseball. I mean, I'm not, glued every day to every game, but between, my little league experience and watching my buddies in high school, covering high school baseball for about 4 or 5 years locally, covering Penn State for well over a decade there, going to all of their games on a daily basis, going to many Spikes games over the last decade, many Pirates games on TV. I've never seen at any level something as ridiculously absurd.
We've made a couple calls
as that.
I wanted to see how it's scored in the official scoring book, which is not official, but I was told possibly. Ready for this one?
Would be
fielder's choice. 5-3-2-4-9-6 E3 E2. It was very impressive.
It's just, I mean, it's inexplicable.
So, with that being said, you've had a fantastic 20 hours.
Why you don't go? Oh yeah, it's been a whole lot of fun. And I've talked to a couple of buddies. I mean, the frustrating thing, and I guess it's all in how you look at it. For me, it makes it more frustrating. Let me back up. There's two different thoughts going through my head on how to analyze the Penguins. One is, as we talked about on Tuesday, that if they lost this series, and I'll stick by it, I still think that this was not the Penguins choking or just playing horrible hockey. I think the Islanders, for brief spurts, played out of their minds. And listen, I think the Penguins, and this is what makes it frustrating, while I'm consoling myself that I think the Penguins played good hockey, the very frustrating thing is I think they played better hockey than the Islanders for a good 75 to 80% of the total ice time that was played. But the two things that they did was give up goals. The 3 minutes. I mean, outside of the 3 minutes, right? I mean, the Penguins outplayed the Islanders, I think, pretty substantially for, say, 55 of the 60 minutes.
I never saw a third
night.
But
But the Islanders were opportunistic. They were a gritty team, and they are. I don't want it to be misconstrued when I say that I think the Penguins outplayed them. The Islanders deserve the win. Okay, because the Penguins, you cannot McCann had 2 golden opportunities last night. You can't. I'll do the double negative. You can't not cash in on those opportunities, i.e., you must cash in on those chances. Right when you're talking about playoff hockey, you can't let those chances slip past against a team that is as good and gritty as the Islanders and expect to come out on top. And it ultimately bit the Penguins. And so, again, on one hand, it's even more frustrating because, again, I still think they're the better team, but I think the Islanders deserved the win in the series. And as we were talking about, I do think the Penguins as an organization, again, I don't think you make moves just to make moves, but you've got to shake this up now. I mean, it is not working. That's 3 years running now that this team has a lot of talent and is getting, nowhere near submit from Lord Stanley's Cup. So you've got to make some changes now in the makeup of the team and in how you want to construct this organization moving forward, because the current construction, and again, I love it. I mean, I think it's entertaining hockey. I thought they played well down the stretch this season. And again, I think they played, for the most part, pretty well throughout the first round of the playoffs. But you can't, again, it's a results-oriented league. You've given this a shot now for 3 years running, and it's not producing the results. You got to shake it up.
Yeah, like we talked about Tuesday, the old hockey adage, you're on the road, you got to withstand that first 10 minutes. I mean, I hadn't even turned the game on, and it was already 1-0.
They did everything
they needed to do. It's unbelievable. Yes. It was absolutely. I mean, you got to be completely frustrated, and I feel just absolutely horrible for you, Jeff, and the rest of my Penguin. Sympathy. I mean, my heart goes out to all the Penguin fans out there, especially to the players and my close buddies. I mean, it stinks. I mean, that's no way to go out because I'm telling you, I got to say it. How the hell they did not get a goal and how hard they worked and how they completely dominated that third period. I mean, from the first second on, it was just like straight barrage going on out there, and they could not. I mean, the old school Flyers a couple of years ago, and when in the Lindros era, they had an issue when they couldn't score. They always tried to take the perfect freaking shot, just shoot the puck, shoot it, and it started to get like a little bit like that for the Penguins, and it didn't seem like they were doing that last night. They were just getting them on there. They weren't trying to overpass and get the perfect play. They were just trying to bombard the net and this and that, and it just didn't happen. And it usually doesn't happen like that, but again, I'm very upset about, I mean, my heart is just broken. I mean, me and Chris were over here.
Deep sympathy.
Oh, it was horrible. Me and Chris were, we said a couple prayers for our friends, just to make sure you guys could pull through this.
I will say, I am really curious to see this Islanders-Bruins series, because I feel like Boston is, much like I felt Pittsburgh was clearly the better team. I want to see if this Islanders team is able to kind of do the same thing. Again, they're going to be in the games, is my expectation going into the series, which, if you're betting in Vegas, I would take the Bruins by 5 in every game. But I'm expecting this to be a very competitive series. But again, I think Boston, I'm curious to see if the Islanders can carry over what they did against the Penguins and get that brand of hockey to work for them. And
I want to see if it was the Capitals who lost or the Bruins that really played that well. Because, I mean, that was a one-sided series from top to bottom.
That was.
I mean, that was old school Ovechkin, not anything really showing up into the playoffs. And
the first time all season, by the way, that the Penguins lost 3 consecutive games.
Well,
the last 3 of the year. At no point in this past season until these final 3 that the Penguins had, and they were the only team. The only other team was the Minnesota Wild that had not lost 3 in a row until the first round of the playoffs. The Wild were able to bounce back, though, and now force a Game 7, one of the few truly compelling. Really, that is the Wild and the Golden Knights and the Penguins and the Islanders were the 2 most intriguing as it played out, not in terms of going into it, the matchups, but in terms of how it's played out.
Did you see with Vegas the stat right now? If they don't win the Game 7, that'll be 3 years in a row that they lose a 3-1 series lead and get bounced.
Right?
Yeah,
I didn't.
That's tough to swallow there, buddy.
That would be.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I guess. Yeah, I didn't.
And then I got some other questions for you, Ironhead. I've been thinking about it. I mean,
that would be, man. That would be tough to take.
I know it's sacrilege, but were you happy with how Crosby played in that series? I mean, he didn't really.
Yes, I overall, to be honest with you, yes, I think. Give the Islanders credit. I mean, I do think, but Crosby's line was productive, and if you don't think
agree
Crosby
with that,
was a huge part of why that line was productive.
He can't do it all. That's the problem. He can't do everything.
Correct. And really, he had a couple of in that third period last night. I mean, I'm not. And truthfully, as ticked off as I was with Evgeny Malkin for taking all 3 penalties, but the 2 of them were just really dumb penalties in the series. I've got to say, overall, I mean, he was a big plus for the Penguins, even with those penalties. I mean, what he brought was tremendous, and that's the thing. I guess I keep coming back to it, and I don't really know what to make of it because I'm going through. Yes, normally a first round series loss, it's like, well, the chemistry wasn't there, or you're ticked off with the coaches because the lines weren't right, or the goaltending was shoddy. And listen, Jarry, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that was a spectacular series for Jarry. I think a good bit of the blame does ultimately lie at Jarry's feet, but I think he's going to learn from it. I mean, I'm not, hey, you got to go find a real goaltender. But, he did not have what you need to have to go win a Stanley Cup.
He didn't make an unbelievable save. He didn't.
He had some really good ones.
He didn't make the unbelievable ones.
He didn't, and he let in a couple that were pretty soft.
No doubt.
Was that long when it's all a blur to me now. I think they
all were blurs. They were all like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, I think it was the one that tied. No, it was the one that put them ahead. The
slap shot
put them ahead 4-3.
The slap shot.
That one. I mean, you just can't in the Stanley Cup playoffs allow that goal in.
You got to have that one.
But again, that being said, again, I think Malkin played overall. I mean, I think again, he was a plus. I think Crosby was Crosby for the most part. There's nothing I'm sitting there saying that, my God, that was horrible. Letang had some not great moments over the course of the series. But again, overall, man, I think they got a lot of good things from a lot of different guys and at both ends of the ice. I mean, it wasn't like, it was because they got so offensive minded that they just fell apart defensively. I mean,
I got one for you, Ironhead.
I think they played a good series, just not good enough. And again, the lapses were ill-timed and significant. And again, you just can't. It was funny because I'm listening to the broadcast, and I was kind of flipping back and forth between the TV and the radio, just listening. And they kept talking about, which obviously, you go up 1-0 and that's 1-1. Then you go up 2-1. It's like you got to get that 2-goal lead, and they no more than said you got to get the 2-goal lead when it's 3-2, and then they're down by 2 goals. Whatever it was, 4 minutes later from when they said it. 3 minutes, less than 3 minutes, and the 3 goals go up for the Islanders, and they're the ones that get the 2-goal lead. Even with that, I've got to tell you, I was, I like making little notes just to myself. Like going into the third period, I'm still confident. I mean, I was confident as a Penguins fan. We're still going Game 7. I still liked everything about it. And then the way they came out those first couple of minutes, I'm like, man, they are gonna
even after the first barrage and they didn't get it. And force you still knew. You still knew they were going to play. But I did not think it was going to end with no more goals.
Well, that was the other. I mean, there was just so many crazy things in that series. But you had 4 goals in each of the first 2 periods, right? And then you had probably, I didn't look at the final stats, but there were probably as many shots in that third period, or darn close to it, as you had in the first 2. I mean, I'm talking 2 teams combined, and no goals.
The shot clock was going up like the
it was crazy.
United States inflation.
Yeah, it was.
That's how fast the goal, the shots on goal were going. So
yeah.
I mean, I got to give. I mean, I'm watching the series and this and that, and I'm racking my brain right now. I couldn't name you other than Talbot, a couple of your defensemen. They're really non-existent.
Yeah, and again, they were solid. I do think. I mean, that's where they've got to look moving forward, and I think
as with every NHL team is looking for defensemen.
True enough. No, and that's always the case. I don't know. I'm anxious and curious to see what this offseason holds for the Penguins. Again, for me, it's a little different than really each of the last 2 years. Again, last year just kind of a pass in a lot of ways, just because it was.
I mean, you're one of my bigger Penguins fans.
And then 2 years ago, that felt like it was just a collapse that the team didn't come together. Again, I just, it's a different feeling for me. I mean, as frustrating, if not more, because of that. Because again, I think the chemistry and I think they had all of the guys buying in. I mean, you didn't have guys trying to do more than they should, and you didn't have guys trying to do. Everybody was doing what they needed to do to give this team, I think, its best chance to win for the most part. And again, you just had a couple of breakdowns in the last couple of games that ultimately cost you this series and a shot here at the Stanley Cup.
The big question now to you, I have to ask you this honestly. Were you happy when they moved on from Fleury? But they had to as a financial thing, right?
Correct.
You couldn't have Malcolm Crosby and
yeah, I was not
Fleury.
As ecstatic as others. A lot of my friends were genuinely ecstatic. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, because I got into a discussion with my one buddy. Well, if Fleury was in goal, I'm not even going down that road.
He's 2 cups ago.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if with Fleury in there if they win that series last night with the Islanders or not, because a lot of the mistakes that Jari made, it's the same things the Penguins fans were the turnover. I guess when I say things, it's a thing, but it cost them game 5, which is always a pivotal game in a 2-2 series, and I forget it's. Over 75%. I think it's close to 80% of the time. If the team that wins a game 5 in a 2-2 series goes on and wins the series, and so the statistics were certainly in favor of the Islanders.
I mean, they've moved on with 3 different goalies in the last how many years, man?
Yeah, and again, I like a lot of what Jari brings. I mean, I'm not sitting here telling you I'm ready to give up on him.
Okay.
But I will tell you, if they're going to win a Stanley Cup with him, like, his game has to go to another level than what it's been certainly than what it's been this postseason. Because that's just too much firepower to not be winning games in the Stanley Cup playoffs. But again, it's not just Jari. It's that they just did not cash in on the opportunities they had, and I don't know. The Islanders got very good goaltending, but I wouldn't say that this was. There were a couple of spectacular saves. I mean, certainly last night, a couple of spectacular saves. But overall, I mean, I'm not sitting back and saying this is one of those series where the goaltender just stole it. It wasn't that type of standout. My God, unbelievable! It's just that the Penguins just did not cash in on the opportunities. And I think it was more on just them. And again, it's not the Islanders. Again, the goaltending was very good. I'm certainly not saying that wasn't the case, but Yeah, it's just a series of the Penguins should have won that offense. When you have the skill guys that they do, and you get the number of chances that the Penguins did, you just have to find. I mean, it's a simple thing to say, but you do. You have to find the back of the net more often than they did, and they should have. I mean, it wasn't. It wasn't for a lack of opportunities or chances. It was a lack of cashing in on those opportunities throughout the course of the series. And again, we'll see. It's going to be a very interesting offseason in Pittsburgh because, much like the Steelers, I think the makeup of this team is just unknown. Right now in terms of what next year's team is going to look like. And I don't think it needs to be, I don't think they need to make a ton of changes. Again, I think they are right there on the brink. I think, again, if you can get value, fair market value for Malkin, I do think with what they have depth-wise now up the middle, right? That makes sense. If you can get some defensive help and feel like you're going to be able to get the right chemistry here with the rest of the lines. I still think that's the direction that they've got to at least be looking and thinking of at the start here of the offseason, in my mind. And again, it's not I'm not one of these you got to get rid of Malkin. This guy's a bum. He takes too many. I'm not happy with the penalties, but again, overall, I don't see how you can argue he was anything but a plus. Again, overall, despite the three penalties that just did have you shaking your head as a Penguins fan.
Hextall said he's going to take care of it, so you got you all your eggs in a Ron Hextall basket right now.
Yeah, and listen, I'm all right after the Carter move. He's earned a lot of trust, and how Carter didn't score in that third period too with the opportunities. That was the first shot he had. I thought for a second it was him. But it didn't go in. Doggone it. So, but boy, what a get that was for the Penguins this season. But again, it's a results-oriented league. You got them, but it resulted in another first round. So that isn't, and I'm not pinning anything on Jeff Carter, obviously, but
he was your MVP.
But that wasn't the piece that was missing. Right, or you'd be at least into the second round of the playoffs.
Well, without Carter, I don't know if you win a game or two in that. I mean, he was a game changer, pretty good out there.
No argument.
Yeah, trust me, it hurt every time watching him. It hurt bad.
Again, they've got to find a different.
Claude Giroux.
It's got to be a different makeup next year.
Yep, Claude Giroux already set tee times up for him, so you're good, Alan. Giroux took care of the tee times at Oakmont, so nice. The Flyers are playing with the Penguins right now. Work. So, yeah, I'm just so devastated, so sad, sorry for you. So, hey, 100 days from today, Ironhead, Penn State football.
Yep, Penn State, Wisconsin, and a noon kickoff for the Nittany
just
Lions
announced
Badgers,
about 2:50.
So that's
so Wisconsin noon on Fox, Ball State 3:30, which is the home opener, Auburn 7:30, which is the second game, and then Villanova has been announced. Illinois, which is our homecoming, October 2, 3 or something like that. It's a noon game.
Villanova's got to be nighttime whiteout, right? We're assuming
we're going to go for a third whiteout, huh?
You got to. I mean, the intrastate rivalry.
I understand. I appreciate what's going on down there. I mean, Villanova is one of the top programs.
Basketball recruits our way.
Yeah, well, how about that?
What's going on too?
So speaking of that, Robert Morris cutting hockey, men's and women's hockey, and then somebody was online they're talking I mean that's an example right there of what needs to be saved, and they're not really getting any kind of. I mean, they're in a bigger city. It's tough. They're not
It's real tough.
They're not the number one team in the city. Obviously, it's always going to be the Penguins, and tough one, man. Tough one with even for Penn State because they've played here multiple times, and the women are in the same division. It's tough to see that, and you hate to see it.
absolutely hate to see it. And again, I'm hoping we don't see too much more news like this over the course of the summer with intercollegiate athletics in general. I'm keeping my fingers crossed after Stanford got its act together that we're not seeing too much of this anyway in the coming months. But I'm fearful.
There is a fear of it.
Yeah, very fearful at this point that we may see a number of other programs that end up getting axed in the name of financial adjustments. Coming off,
or use the excuse of COVID to get rid of a program that
well,
that has been a money drain type of thing.
Yeah, although in some cases, again, for some of these schools, I mean, it really has been devastating, and I think it's going to be difficult to get back on track here for some of these athletic departments. And again, more so for kind of those Mid-American Conference, but even some of the ACC and Big 12 schools, and really even some of the Big 10 schools. Again, because of the number of programs, you might say there's deep coffers there, and that's fine. The coffers may be as deep as the SEC, but those coffers are trying to cover 28 to 34 programs versus the 14 to 18 that the SEC coffers are covering.
We were talking about the Villanova game and Penn State game, and I just, like a smaller school like that, you want to give them a shot and give them a payday, in my opinion.
Sure.
I mean, that's what it's all about. I believe that the rotation is they're going to go back to any kind of old school rivalry. I believe they have Delaware on the schedule sometime in the next 10 years. West Virginia, Syracuse, the old Big Ten, no, not the Big Ten, the East rivalries that we all grew up with. They're going to try and play one of them a year. I think that's the way they're going with all of this.
Yeah.
I do, I like that. I mean, growing up a Penn State fan as you did, watching the old Penn State Syracuse, Pitt, I mean, I know Villanova's new to the game here,
Temple,
but it's a pretty.
Don't forget the rivalry with Temple. Come on now.
Well, yeah, we've always seen the play.
At least we've renewed the rivalry with Rutgers.
Thank God Rutgers is back on the schedule every year. Thank God we could start paying them full. Oh my Lord. So.
Take a break here. I do want to talk a little more Penn State football when we come back, and we've talked about the importance of that those first three games and kind of setting the tone and kind of getting hopefully getting Penn State back in the national conversation here. But talk a little more about that as we continue with the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show on a very sunny Thursday afternoon here in the Valley of Happiness. Back after this.
Lion Country Kia is offering exceptional deals on your new Kia during Kia's Command the Season event.
We have a nice selection on the 2021 Kia Sportage with various options and prices as low as $26,800, saving you $3,000. Or if you demand big power and towing capacity, slip into one of the 2021 Kia Sorrentos available on our lot, starting at $32,680.
Discover why Kia drivers throughout the area come to Lion Country Kia or visit online at lioncountrykia.com.
Quaker Steak and Lube is throwing open the garage doors and setting up the umbrellas. It's patio season. Come enjoy great food, drinks, and fun in the sun. There's always something happening at Quaker Steak and Lube, but we're really amping up our event calendars for our favorite time of year. Visit thelube.com to find out what's happening at your local lube this season. Lunch, happy hour, dinner, or late night, indoors or outside, at Quaker Steak and Lube, you'll always find big flavors, friendly faces, and lots of fun.
I'm here with Keith Goon Conlon, and you've got a little trip you're cooking up for August. Tell us about it.
So we got 4 or 5 ex-football players, Shane Conlon, myself, Troy Drayton, Justin Krupakis, and Mike Maudie. We're going to go down to Barbados, leave from different airports, 5 days, 4 nights. We've got to get our skills ready to go for the football season, so what better way to do it than down in Barbados.
People come along on this trip, what are they going to be doing down there?
Very laid-back atmosphere. We're going to have golfing trips,
fishing trips. And then at night, the days are very, very chill. And then at nighttime, there'll be cocktail parties and, old viewings of old football games from Penn State. You might be watching the 87 Fiesta Bowl, the 95 Rose Bowl, a private viewing, a viewing for all the people who were on the trip of Saving Your Roar, which is the 2012 team documentary. So the biggest thing is it is 100% refundable. LionsLegendsTravels.com. Everything is on there. It's $19.95 a person. There's multiple airports, so check in.
Good stuff, Goon. Lions Legends Travel. Check it out.
He's not getting that car in there.
No, sir.
Hey, look at these two troublemakers.
Johnny, how are you?
Wicked car, is that new?
Yeah, it's a Sonata. Let me park it.
Oh, you're not fitting your car in there.
Chris, stop being a smarty pants, all right? Look who's got Smart Park. Even Bruiser can park it. Just hit the clicker. I can park it anywhere.
Beaver Stadium?
Parked it.
Even the Jordan Center?
Parked it.
Even Medlar Field?
Even Bruiser parked it.
Hey, you can't park there.
He's got Smart Park!
Wicked smart.
Blaze Alexander Hyundai. It's wicked smart.
And we welcome you back into the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show as we continue on this Thursday. Penn State, Wisconsin again, a noon kick, Goon. And I'm glad as a fan because it is tough when you're waiting around a long time for that season opener, especially when it's one that has the significance and potential ramifications that this one does. So I'm glad to see it as an early kick, but it is going to be interesting to see how this team responds on the road to an early kick. I mean, over the years, that has not been a wonderful thing for Penn State. I keep going back and forth, and we're just not going to really know until you see it play out. Again, I'm not thrilled. It is what it is. I'm not thrilled still with the idea of playing a big-time conference game in particular right out of the gate. But I will say it does add a lot of intrigue and interest to starting the season. And, James Franklin is not going to have any problem getting his guys focused on the task at hand from day one of preseason camp here, because everybody involved obviously understands the significance. And again, it's not a end all be all game by any means, but
it's a pretty big.
It is really big because again of 0-5 last year, and just kind of it just feels like in the ongoing what have you done for me lately world of college athletics and the world in general for that matter. But it just feels like it probably feels like a more important game than it actually is. And again, it actually is important. I mean, I'm not denying that. But as we've talked about, I mean, you can lose this game. You can lose this game handily and still ultimately win the national title even. So that's –
I hear you.
That's on one hand. On the other hand, again, because you have a dangerous Ball State team the following week, and trust me when I tell you that is a dangerous Ball State team, especially because it's being sandwiched between that Wisconsin and Auburn game, and it's all the more dangerous, I think, if Penn State wins against Wisconsin, because all of the hype on campus is going to start for that Auburn matchup. And, man, can you imagine the atmosphere there? And I'm telling you, if those guys buy into that stuff at all, that Ball State game, I mean, can you imagine if Penn State goes 2-1 with wins over Wisconsin and Auburn, which, again, I don't think is out of the realm of possibilities here in the upcoming season.
I did see a report that Ball State is really loading up on fifth-year transfer type of guys. They're going to go out there. They are defending MAC title winners, so they're nothing to shake a stick at here. And then they're going to go out and legitimately go after fit guys who were getting done with Penn, the bigger school guys who have a fifth year of eligibility that was granted by the NCAA. They're actively going out and getting those guys. So I mean that will be their Super Bowl. We say that a lot, and that's a huge game for a Ball State team. But
huge.
We talk about Wisconsin here. I mean, the noon kickoff, it does scare the hell out of me because it's 11 o'clock to our guys, right?
Correct.
And with that said, I think it's the opening game of the year, so I think that's not really going to play into it. Usually, a couple games in, when you got to travel and this and that. I mean, if they really were worried about that, they could even travel a day earlier, type of thing. I love the matchup that it's the first game of the day on national television.
Yep.
So you literally want the national audience. You're going to have the national audience. ABC and ESPN will have games and this and that, but you are on every station in this country.
Yep.
Every home in this country.
Yep.
Every market, everybody is going to be carrying this game. Huge game. I did see that Vegas has come out. I believe we are a 3.5 point underdog against Wisconsin 100 days from now.
Which is pretty much the home field.
The home field advantage is
That's
3
usually
points normally. So
you're basically looking at pretty much a toss-up here between the two teams.
James Franklin is a great coach. He understands what he needs to do to get his team going, but he also needs to realize that he could not have a slow start like that as they did last year.
Yep.
I think James is very good at learning from his mistakes. It's like one of his greatest traits as a coach, in my opinion, is that he does learn a lot from mistakes and doesn't let them happen again. So for our to think, obviously, again, it's 100 days from now, thinking about our guys not being ready to go at that point is crazy to think of. And but that is a worry. Will they come out slow and sluggish like they have in the past few season openers? Because I mean, when was the last time we really opened up? I mean, I like opening game against somebody of this, of this firepower, where we're the actual underdog.
Yeah.
You're talking maybe kickoff classics, maybe. I don't know. I mean, not in the James Franklin era have we started off with such a hard game, let alone a conference game at that. So I mean, you got national ramifications. You have Big Ten title ramifications. So lots going to be on at stake out there, and I hope to God that we are ready to go. I believe we will be. But I mean, just hearing the time start coming out, I'm pretty jacked up, Ironhead. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'm with.
And then seeing the Penn State football releases 100 days till our first game, so that means 107 days until our first tailgate, which they haven't announced yet. I'm still waiting on that. Don't say that, Jeffrey.
No, I'm confident.
God Almighty!
No, I know, but
the Vegas line just went down to 0 tailgate because Ironhead weighed in and said yes.
I know. Believe me, I know and understand, and I'm still telling you. I think I think it's happening. There's just no. I was watching. I think it was NBC this morning. I've been just kind of flipping around in the morning news programs, and there seemed, even in the state. I mean, Wolf is talking now about
no matter what, June 28th.
Yeah. Listen. By the time September rolls around, anybody who wants a vaccine, with the possible exception of young kids, will have had the opportunity to get it. And again, it's going to be, if you're not comfortable in that situation, by all means. I mean, nobody's telling you have to go, but there's no reason for Penn State or any school to not give everybody that wants the opportunity, that has the opportunity to go in to an outdoor stadium to take advantage of that.
I think that we're going to be 100%. And then people are like, well, what about tailgating? And my thought process is like, what are they going to say? You can't tailgate, but you're allowed to sit with 110,000 people
it's gonna
3 centimeters apart. I mean, I can't imagine even 50% capacity. I just don't see it. I think we're going to be full go. I think that everybody will be ready to rock and roll. 107 days from now, Ironhead.
Yeah, and I think.
Can you tell that I've missed tailgating?
Well, so going to the Wisconsin game, the right, the line play is always the concern. I mean, it's been the concern for Penn State for couple of decades now, and And it's always the strength, right? It's the one thing you take for granted is that Wisconsin is going to have good line play on both sides of the ball, right? I mean, that's what they're known for. So that, for me, is the biggest question mark, biggest concern, and biggest point of interest in that game is, how does Penn State match up out of the gate on the road against a team that is known for good line play? Can Penn State at least hold its own on both sides of the ball up front and get out of there with again, to me, this is the way I'm looking at it. I think it would be a bigger win than it would be a devastating loss. And I'm not telling you that the loss wouldn't hurt and wouldn't be significant, but a win there, again, just sets everything up for those, the next couple of games and really the Auburn game, presuming you take care of business against Ball State. And again, I think if Penn State, if the players go to sleep on Ball State, that game will bite them. I mean, I'm absolutely convinced of that. I don't think, the one of the things James Franklin has done pretty effectively is not allow his team to overlook anybody. And I don't think it's going to take much in terms of, hey, look at what this Ball State team has been doing. Look at the actual talent that's out there. I don't think it's going to take much to get those guys' attention.
Sure.
So if you get that win, to me, again, it's huge because it builds on the momentum at the end of last year from within the program. And from a national standpoint, as you said, all eyes, or the overwhelming majority of eyes, are going to be on that Penn State-Wisconsin game. You win that game, and it's like, oh, Penn State's a team. Wait, they're playing Auburn in a primetime game? More eyes are going to be. And if you win that one, again, regardless of how those two teams end up doing throughout the season, it's two marquee opportunities, and you win both. Again, the momentum on all fronts, again, from within the program, national perception and recruiting perception, right? I mean, it is going to help in every regard. If you lose the Wisconsin game, again, to me, it puts all the more significance, even though it's not a Big Ten game, on that Auburn game. And obviously Ball State, you've got to take care of business there.
Sure.
But then that Auburn game takes on added import here because, again, getting off to a 1-2 or, God forbid, an 0-3 start after the 0-5 start last year, right? It's just it's going to be tough to regain the momentum that had been established. I'm talking about on the recruiting front now, and get guys to buy in that, hey, nope, this is still a program that is on the cusp here, and I can be, part of the equation that gets it over the hump and into the college football playoffs and all those stuff that we've been talking about the last 3-4 years.
You made a pretty good point. You said the R word when it comes to recruitment. Let's not kid ourselves. Wisconsin came in here and took the number one recruit in the state of Pennsylvania out last year, Nolan Rucci, whose father and mother are both Penn State grads. So I mean, that is a huge damn thing, man. And Penn State needs to exert its power a little bit, in my opinion, to get that stuff back. I mean, you can't allow that to happen on a regular basis. And, what better way to to do that than go out there and take that game? I mean, I guarantee you that's James's going to be his motivation for that. And it is a huge national game. You want to be one of the big boys. You're going to come out of the gate noon, Labor Day, Saturday. You're the opening game. Every bar in this country, every home in this country is going to have that game on at that time.
Yep.
So I mean, what better way to announce your presence back with as a national power than that? I mean, he wants to get to that next step. So this is it. This is your first step towards it. And again, we're all giving everybody gets that 2020 year off. There's nothing that happened that year that I'm going to hold against them. Yada, 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 the 0-5 start. But I mean, crazy build up to that with the COVID. So it is going to be a big game for Penn State and especially for James Franklin.
Yeah, no question about it. Few minutes remaining. Did want to give you a chance if you want to weigh in on the Sixers. We don't talk much NBA because I have zero interest.
I have zero interest
NBA,
also.
But Yeah, Sixers have been. I haven't. And full disclosure, I've watched 0 seconds of any of the postseason games, but I see the highlights in the morning, and it does sound like the Sixers are, unlike the Penguins being able to find the back of the net, the Sixers were finding the bottom of the net pretty nicely here.
And then the big thing coming out of Philadelphia right now is because a fan threw popcorn on Westbrook leaving the court the other night. And you know what, Jeff? It's the same old adage, and it just upsets every person from the Philadelphia area. And that is that there was a fight 2 nights ago in the Chicago White Sox between a bunch of women. Nothing said. Dodgers beat the living hell out of somebody from Houston last night in the crowd, or whatever. The Dodgers guy beat the crap out of the Houston Astros fan. You could tell they were both wearing jerseys, and no one talks about that. But then you have some idiot in Philadelphia throws popcorn on a player, and that's on every freaking newscast every day. It's just the Santa snowballs, the J.D. Drew batteries. I just can't stand it.
I will say the fan behavior just across the board, have nothing to do with Philadelphia in particular.
Well,
I'm talking in general. It's listen.
It's out of control.
You can say what you want. I mean, you really can. Now, there's some things that I would say crossing the line.
Yes,
but you can't be throwing stuff on the court at play, right? I mean, like that just, and by the way, the 76ers, just so we're clear, revoked the person's
absolutely, they're doing the right thing.
Season tickets, and he's been banned from the arena moving forward. So
it's not enough for some people. They still will bring it up.
Yeah.
So Chris tweeted last night that New York Knicks, they had a fan spit on Trae Young, right? In Madison Square Garden. Physically see a man spit on a player, and then no one really talks about that. But then a popcorn is thrown in Philadelphia, and that's all the rage. The adage is so stupid. It's old and used and beat up, but it doesn't excuse that guy's an idiot for throwing popcorn on. I mean, come on, dude, control yourself. It's a freaking game, a professional game. You think that Westbrook really has? Is he going to show up at your job tomorrow and start harassing you when you're I mean, people got to start thinking. That's the problem in our society again. That the fear of getting your face knocked off because of what you're saying is no longer there with some people, and it's just like they feel as if they can say whatever they want and do whatever they want. It's completely it's untrue.
Yeah,
it's a shame, man.
It is, and I do wonder if we're going to end up seeing more changes even in terms of security at arenas and stadiums, and again, it doesn't take much in terms of knuckleheads to kind of ruin the party, and you like the interaction, right? I mean, you
want your fans involved. You want them to get them all jumped up.
I mean, over the years. Yeah, and having the fans, even the whole Jari, like that is sports, like right? That's fun. But I
love that.
You feel even with the PGA Championship, I'm worried that at some point, because again, you just have idiots who are going to take it too far. We're going to end up having the galleries be forced back in golf substantially from what. And it's going to take away from it, but it's going to be, I fear, a necessary
Jeff, I mean,
change.
I watched that on Sunday, and all I could think of that was Monica Seles.
I'm with you, and I
mean, I don't know why it was going through my head, and I was like, these people are way too close.
It just takes one
idiot
taking advantage of the freedoms that are out there, right? And I mean, I really hope it nothing like that obviously
I'm with you.
Ever happens, but even anything less violent, that something that makes the authorities say, listen, we've got to take, and listen, there are some precautions taken now. I mean, I don't want to make it sound like it's a free-for-all. Obviously that's not the case, and there have been changes over the years in NBA arenas and whatnot to try to take better care to protect everybody involved. But man, it just seems like, and I don't know if it's coming out of the COVID, it just seems like we're becoming more, I mean, I know gun violence, and I don't want to get into that whole discussion, but it just seems violence and anger in general is up. And you'd think, I don't know. I would think coming out of a pandemic, we'd have a greater understanding and appreciation and just take everything with a little bit more of a grain of salt and not get as worked up. But it seems like just the opposite is happening. Again, not just in the sports world, but across the board where people are just acting irrationally and violently. And it's obviously not good, but I'm worried that it's going to have consequences.
There's
beyond
something bad can happen there, and then it's like then all the rules are off. And you're not going to have any kind of fan participation with interaction with athletes and stuff. I mean, that's what scares me. It really does. So, if
you did not see the Pirates-Cubs game today, you do need to go check out the Javi Baez taking advantage of playing a little league team when you're in the majors. This is what can happen. It's why really little league teams shouldn't be allowed to play major league baseball teams. Because stuff like this, somebody could get hurt out there.
They're the top 4A team out there, buddy. Don't forget that. So,
folks, we hope you have a great weekend. Again, I'm mourning my clean-shaven face. By the way, if you have a chance to check out the Spike's little self-promotion here, but Mr. Brown is unavailable Saturday, so yours truly will be handling the public address duties at Medler Field at Verona Park Saturday.
Wow!
Evening. So
we're going from Dr. Brown to Ironhead.
Yes, thank you to Scott Walker and Joe Putnam and all of the folks with the Spikes. Looking forward to having a little fun there on Saturday night.
And remember, while we're celebrating, we all off on Monday. Everybody, God bless America. God bless our troops, or God bless the ones who didn't make it home. So,
amen. Folks, we hope you have a great weekend. Yes, take some time and think about Memorial Day and what it means, and all of the amazing folks who have sacrificed so that we can enjoy all that this country and area has to offer. And we will talk to you the day after Memorial Day again on Tuesday. And until then, be good and be safe.